Anything, Alex, that you would like to say? Or Elder. I'm just gonna keep saying Elder and Junior. Hi, and welcome to another episode of Dungeons and Degrees. My name's Adrian,
And I'm Alex.
and today we have a special guest. Special guest, introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm also Alex, but also I'm gonna be known as Junior Alex. My account is Awashi Art. It's just on Twitter and or Instagram. That's basically where I'm mostly known at. I don't really talk about D&D stuff there, but hopefully one day, like I'll just draw some concept art, and I'll share it about D&D. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just not that well known on the internet, but hopefully soon, I guess.
Well, don't worry. We're all on our internet journey to be known.
Yay! To the journey! An adventure!
Exactly. I know Alex from a Skylar's West March campaign, and that's kind of how I met her. And she told me about her D&D campaign, and she was starting to homebrew her
Yeah.
own rules. And correct me if I'm wrong, homebrew own races.
Yeah, homebrew rules, races, classes. I made up I wanted to try to draw some maps and draw some NPCs. I think it's a lot more fun drawing than taking a random assets. I mean, the assets kind of like a temporary thing if I need it, but like I think drawing it from how I imagined it was a lot more fun and a lot more interesting. Even the players really enjoyed it. Like they got really excited the fact like over this NPC they loved the fact that I got a commission of this NPC because back then I couldn't like color that well yet. Like I'm not there yet. They were like, they said the fact that you paid for this, that means she's like important to the story. I'm like, yep. So that kind of like got them really excited. And not only that, I also kind of drew their character like for character tokens, and they felt really bad. They're like, you don't have to do it. I'm like, no. Listen, I want to do this. I'm the dungeon master. I want to do this. It's okay. I don't mind. Yeah, I just have fun like drawing the characters. I just wanted to play I always wanted I love the idea of D&D, but I always wanted to play like in a dark fairy tale world. And I haven't really found a game like that. So I was like, you know what? Let me just create a world like that. Why not? That's really fun to do. And that's what I did. And when I met my friends who are my players, I did not expect to have seven players in one group, and then I didn't expect to have other 7 players in another group. So they got really excited the fact that I give them a lot of creative freedom by creating their characters. Like I had no limit. Like sometimes they would bring up an idea that they wanted to bring to the table, but it's not like what I wrote. I'm like, you know what? Fine, go with it. This is your character. Have fun with it, and they did. My second group is I got a cartoon clown, a puppet necromancer, a skeleton blood mage, a fox folk rogue, and a blue tiefling who's an eldritch knight, but somehow has wild magic. And when his wild magic happens, his third horn appears because he's a tiefling that is hated. I don't know why. That's what he wanted. I don't know who I'm missing. Oh, also a demigod druid who feels alienated from his relatives, I guess you would say, and he just kind of moved away and he's just do his own thing. He's a lazy demigod, but hey, we love him. I think that's all of them so far. Oh wait, sorry. And this basically I wanted to create a class that is based on the magical girl type of way, but call it mystical guardian.
Wait, what's it called?
I call it mystical guardian.
Okay.
Like instead of magical girl, I call it mystical guardian to make it gender neutral.
Gotcha.
And homebrewing a class by my own, I mean, with the elements of magical girl, but also I was like, yeah, let me bring the mystic class in. Let me just add some mystic class because I wanted this class to be unique. It was kind of difficult to think about, but like I try to make it work. So so we got a half cat, half human magical girl, which is a magical guardian. She has a cute axe that she just attacked the enemies with, which is pretty cool.
Is it a
I think
cute
that
axe, like very kawaii, or what's going on there?
it's like heart shaped an
Okay,
axe.
okay.
Yeah, she only has that weapon whenever she transforms. I
Gotcha.
had the music ready when when I asked her, like, hey, if you're ready to transfer, let me know. And I just played the music.
Is it like a 5-minute cutscene whenever they transform? Because
Yeah, yeah,
that's necessary. Okay. Okay.
yeah. That's what was happening, and the others were just watching her, like, oh, like this is happening. All right. I was gonna say that their backstories are very interesting, especially the Blood Mage. Like, I was very surprised. So his character's named Placebo. Placebo was a paladin of the god of life, and he hated the undead. And then he turned into something he hated. Something that happened in the middle of the war, and he lost his powers because he became something that he was supposed to hate, and he learned blood magic in order to get his body back. And despite he's doing everything that's against his god's rules, he was still praying to his god. I was surprised as a dungeon master. I was like, oh, he's still devoted. Wow, okay. Like, I didn't know how I'm gonna like go with this, but like I'm like kind of thinking about it and stuff.
There's like so much uniqueness into the characters that you built, and it seems like there's so much effort to just create a class, create a whole campaign, create all this stuff.
Yeah,
And I mean, before you even got to play, how long did it take for you to rally all that information up to start playing?
a year and a half. A year and a half because I was busy with my own type of thing. I was busy with other games, and I was busy with art school, and I didn't really have like players that I vibe with to play with and stuff until like around the time of my birthday surprise. Everyone asked like, well, what do you want to do for your birthday? I'm like, I want to play D&D. They're like, okay, let's play D&D. I didn't have anything prepared, so I had to like quickly prepare. I have to quickly prepare everything, and that's how the game started. And I kept going. It kind of like pushed me to start the game already, rather than taking my time to get some stuff polished and ready. And honestly, I'm glad that I kind of pushed me. Like, I kind of like pushed myself to start already, rather than taking my time to finish it,
Hmm.
because everyone had a lot of fun. And one player said he wasn't going to be there all the time. Because he was going to be busy with his own thing. Turns out he thought this was a daily thing, and he was there like every week because he had like a lot of fun. And I remember like last time I had to postpone it anyway, but he said like he has something going on, but he wants to join, and he wants to like he wants to make like every last minute like worth it type of thing. I don't know how to say it, and I was just there like, oh. Even like my other friend was like, yeah, I got busy, like I'm busy with other stuff, but I'm gonna join around this time at least. And more players were just going with their own thing, and I'm like, all right, it's okay, guys, I'm gonna postpone it. But it was just really nice that they're still trying to join, because they have like a lot of fun playing in the world that I created for them, and the fact that I give them this creative freedom. Like, I had no limit to what they want to be, or what they like, what class or race they want to be, like, at all. I'm like, you know what? This is your character. Go for it. Do what you ever want to, do what you want to do. Just and since this is a campaign based on plot, like it's kind of like 80% story based and 30% combat. I told them that this is a campaign mostly focused on character development. So, they should always think of what their character should do. And I always ask them a question before we start the game or the game is over. And, just in case if I forgot about the question. And even though there were times where they joke around and stuff, there were moments where they actually took seriously in their characters, where they actually seriously roleplay their characters, and they were in the moment. Like, I didn't really expect them to do it, especially like some of them. This was their first time, but they were like really, really into role playing the game. And I was just basically creating a D&D game that I always wanted to play but never had a chance. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. If no one's gonna do it, I'll do it, type of thing.
I think, I mean, it, I mean, those are the games we just end up DMing. It's like, what would be fun for me, but also you slowly kind of like, that's how you kind of start out. Like, this was what I think would
Hmm.
be interesting. This is what I think would be fun. But slowly and surely, when you start playing with your players, you learn their likes, their interests, all what makes them tick. What can I give them to interest them?
Yeah.
What's the hook that's gonna make them like run after the bad guy or run after a piece of magical item? So I think that when you said I DM'd the game that I wanted to play, kind of hits home to me.
And surprise, yeah, because I've been trying to find games that I wanted to like have fully fun in, and I'm I can get fully creative with my character, and I never had that chance. And I'm like, you know what? I'll do it. If no one's gonna do it, I'll do it. And I didn't expect my players to have fun with it, but surprisingly, they do. Like they really enjoyed the game. And due to my experiences with D&D and how I want to change some things to make it more fun and not too stressful on the players, I was like, so after like they had their first serious combat, they had to go to a shelter to rest up because it's been a long day. And I really and after they're all inside and they kind of cook some vegetable stew and everything because like with the map I added everything they need. After they were done, I told them like, okay, so this is the moment where you guys are going to fully role play. This is the moment where you guys, this is your characters getting to know each other. I'm not gonna like chime in unless you need any questions. So have fun. And I muted myself, and they were like getting to know each other as characters. And after like it was going on for a very long time. I'd said like at least like maybe an hour and a half. And after I was done, I asked them like, "So, what do you guys think of that?" And they really enjoyed it. Surprisingly, they really enjoyed the fact that they can just sit down and get to know each other rather than focusing on the quests and didn't have the time to know each other at all. That's why I kind of add that type of feature. And then after that, I told them, well, not after that, before that, I told them like after they finish their first adventure, they will have at least like 2 or 3 sessions where they have a chance to explore around, like maybe get to know the NPC they always wanted to know but didn't have the time to do so because of a quest. Maybe have a chance to get to know each other in character or have some moments or try to buy some items or maybe a side quest that they want. Like basically play a moment to relax like in character rather than worrying about the quest too much because I know that can get really stressful if that's all you do and you didn't have the time to sit down and relax and just take a deep breath while you go to your next adventure. That kind of like I kind of got the idea from basically when I was like when I was studying for animation at some uni. I was making like I was creating this presentation about his work, and there was this part where that even though there was something going on like in the movie, they always had the time to stop and just look around and to relax and stuff. And I really like the idea that even though like they had something going on, they they're human beings, they need time to sit down and relax and stuff. So I added that feature, and when I told them that, they really loved the idea that they didn't really have to be stressed all the time. They didn't have to be they didn't have to think about their next adventure or what's going to happen and stuff. Like once they're tired and they're exhausted and they're done with their adventure, they can just explore around and maybe find out some information they wanted to find out or talk to someone that they wanted to talk to. Like they have the time until the next adventure. I just really want to give them that feature, and I always wanted to have that in game, and I didn't really have that. Like I kind of do, but it didn't really like you would kind of feel relaxed, and then like cliffhanger something happens, and it's just kind of like type of kind of stressful. So I just wanted to add the feature where the players would feel they don't feel stressed. They had fun, but they also have a type of break where they had a chance to walk around and explore and stuff. Like it doesn't really ruin the game if they want to, if they explore around, I think they want to do.
Okay, so when you said it doesn't ruin the game, I think it's important to have those downtime periods, those tavern conversations, because it invests the
Mm-hmm.
character. They're not just points on the board, numbers on a character sheet. They become an investment, a period where
Mm-hmm.
they get to know each other, a period where they're just like this is my backstory. This is my what I've had to do. Like when characters have to deal from with those big battles to figure out what's going on, I think that it's really tough to say, okay, let's get back into another fight because that's like a lot of
Yeah.
like anxiety. Like, is my character gonna die or not? And like, when they have those
Yeah.
close death experiences and they come back from them, they're like, well, my story not might not be told, so why not try and tell it now? Why not like explain myself before I potentially pass from this game? It gives that sense of urgency to share who they are, and that's something that's kind of happened on one of my fights when it's like I did kill a character, but they have like 3 charges of revivify, so they're fine. So, and through that, they kind of came together and talked a little bit deeper and talked about what's going on. And, when they saw that happen to one of their party members, they're just like, well, shoot, okay, Adrian's not pulling any more punches. Things are getting serious. We need to play a little bit smarter. So, I think that's something that is kind of part of the game. There's individuals that will just want to level up, get to the highest, do the craziest shit on their character sheet first, and then, like, I'm satisfied. And then there's those people who like, I'm satisfied when I get to tell my character's story, kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, so far I haven't really find out that out from my players at least. Like they all seem to love the idea that I kind of give them a moment to sit and kind of talk to each other and stuff. And the fact that I said you have a chance to explore around you want, they really like the idea. So I haven't really found that player who doesn't really want that and just want to keep on, go to combat and have that constant near death experience and stuff, because I really did tell everyone like, hey, just so you know, this is a campaign that's mostly story based and less combat. If you're not into that, it may not be for you. I let everyone know that, and they're like, yeah, sure, we're into that, let's play that. And they really enjoyed it so far. I haven't really had anyone tell me like they wanted more actions and stuff. I constantly, like, every time you finish the game, I would tell them like, is there anything you guys need? Like, is there something I should change and stuff? And they always say like, no, you're doing good. Like, we love what you do and stuff. But I always ask like just in case, because who knows?
I mean, and that's a good precedent to
So,
set. Oh, go ahead, Alex.
oh, I was gonna say it sounds like you set up your game pretty well, where you like let
Hmm.
everyone know before you started that hey, we're gonna do something a little less combat and a little more story, and I mean you've already cut out whoever didn't want to play, or they already got it in their head that this is what they're going to be doing. So I think they had that buy-in, and that sounds like you have a really good group of people who want to actually create a
Yeah,
story with you. Super
I,
exciting.
I was really surprised that they were all excited to play this game with me, in the world that I created. And I was not expecting it at all. It was literally the day where they asked like, hey, what do you want to do for your birthday? I'm like, I don't know, I want to play D&D. Okay, let's play D&D. And then suddenly it created something like amazing. I had no idea that I would kind of expect that there might be that player who wouldn't really take that seriously and stuff, because I do have some players that they would create some sort of they want to be the type of joke character thing. But I told them, I'm like, no, that is not happening. You may want to joke around and stuff. I'm like, nope, that is not happening. I will make sure you're important to the story. Sometimes comedy relief characters turn into tragedies or something great. Who knows? I let them know that like I take it seriously to whatever they want to add to their characters, especially the blue teeth named Hangvel, that he said he wanted a third horn, and I was so confused. I'm like, how is that possible, dude? He was like, I don't know, if it's not gonna work, like you don't have to add it. I was like, you know what? No, we're gonna make this work. He was like, are you sure? Like if it doesn't work, you don't have to do it. I'm like, no, we will make it work. And then we just kind of have the idea where it's a magical type of horn that every time wild magic happens, like his third horn appears, and I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Like that would make sense. That would probably explain why he's hated. Maybe he's cursed. Who knows? So I try to make sure like all of their stories are important. I told everyone like, since this is going to be a story based game, you have to write your backstory in like a fairy tale, but with a tragedy ending, because this is a world where happy endings don't exist, but that doesn't mean it's not possible. And they did, and I took it, to notes to what should I do for the characters and what I want to surprise them with. And I told them all, like, I have a music to play each for you guys for your moments, and they're kind of like worried, and I'm like, don't worry, it could be a bad thing or a good thing, I can't really say, but don't worry too much about it. You're not gonna die, it's just something your character might be experiencing, who knows. But yeah, like especially with the demigod Nad, he was the lazy demigod who somehow loved donuts out of nowhere. Like he brought up donuts in the first campaign, no, in the first session, and I didn't know. Like I was like, do donuts exist in my world? What should I do? And I'm like, how about like no? What if they don't exist? But he keeps bringing it up to a point. I'm like, okay, let's just say this town doesn't know about donuts. And some people do know about donuts. How about that? Because he really likes donuts. Like his character loved donuts. I was like, okay, fine, I'll bring it into the game. Sure, okay, sure.
It's that
Why not?
one nagging player that just wants this one singular thing that may or may not mess with the campaign. You're just
Yes.
like, fine, you can have it.
Pretty much. I mean, it wasn't bad. Like for example, I brought the donut thing so what happened was where one of the players who's playing as the magical girl, she couldn't join the first game because she had she had to be with her family. It's like family day. And the next week she joined, and then I told her, I was like, hey, how about you appear in town with the donut, like with the donut in your hands, like, and you're eating it. And she was like, okay, why? And I was like, because one of the players like donuts, and you know what? If he wants donuts, he's getting it. So what happened in that scene where she was there? Like I told the players, like, you see this person like standing in the middle of the town hall, and then I asked him, the demigod, to roll for perception, and he rolled pretty well. And I said, you see her? She's holding that looks like a donut, and she's eating it. And he said that he runs up to her in human speed and try to like ask her about the donut. But then I said, the moment you get there, the donut's gone, and it's just.
That's one
I was
way.
like, listen.
Yeah, that's one way to put all the characters together.
Yeah, I was like, listen, you want donuts? You got one. It's gone. I mean, his character did get a donut at the end over the NPC that they all love. They all love this NPC. I did not expect they would all love her. Like she was planned. She was there from the beginning, and she's an important NPC. Like, but I didn't think everyone would go crazy over her to the point where they really fell in love with her. The demigod was pinning on her and stuff, and I was like, okay, if you want to be with her, work for it. And he asked her about donuts, and I was like, okay, you know what? I made it as a point where she knows donuts, and like she knows about donuts, and she bakes them, and she gave it to him. He was so happy, and I'm like, he's been asked about donuts. Why not give the demigod donuts? Like it's canon. I guess this town doesn't know donuts. I didn't know it was my first session.
Do you have trouble balancing out these homebrewed characters, or do you, because it's so story based, that these kind of abilities or things that aren't as potentially like broken with the type of play you're playing?
I mean, when it comes to writing homebrew, it was kind of like a lot longer and a lot effort than I expected. Like sometimes I would download the PDFs from the Game Master Guild. If I didn't have the time to write my own, might as well just add that in to pick some stuff that I like, some that I don't like. And if I don't find the ones that it's not there, I have to create my own, which is the puppet race. It's not a thing. It's kind of a thing, but not the one that I kind of envisioned. So I had to write the entire thing by my own, which is kind of difficult. It's kind of like my first time, but I'll try to make it work. And I'm basically like, I added like homebrew races that you really not really expect to play in D&D. Like I don't know if the demigod race is common. We have the puppet race. The puppet race was just, since it's a fairy tale world, I really like the story of the Nutcracker, the puppet. I don't know the full title, but I remember watching it like from childhood, and I really want to bring like puppets in the world, like Nutcracker, Pinocchio. There's also this puppet character in an anime I used to watch as a kid, called Princess Tutu. Princess Tutu is like the main, like I took a lot of inspiration from that anime because it does have the fairy tale vibes. I I thought it would be really cool if you could play as a puppet, but I don't, I'm trying my best to write that race down and stuff. Really cool. And that means also I have to draw the many like icons where, when you click the race, you see like how they look. So I have to draw that out once I finish writing it on D&D Beyond. We'll see. But I don't know. It's just because since I mostly have homebrew stuff, that means that's a lot of effort to do, especially when it comes to writing and drawing. But honestly, it's worth it at the end because it's just, if it was me as a player, I would love to explore around that world if everything is there. So it's honestly worth it. Like, it's worth just adding this much effort and then bringing it into a game where the players would have a lot of fun. They have a lot of fun and they explore around and stuff, and they get to play these races that they're not going to have a chance in other games, since it's not going to be on the list or something. I just don't I don't know. I just went with where I try not to restrict them too much. Like, I'm like, I told them, like, you guys have full creative freedom, create how you want. And I was surprised in how creative they were with their characters. I was really surprised, and I love their characters. And there was a time where one of my players asked me, she was like, Alex, be honest, who's your favorite player? Like, who's your favorite? Like,
That's a loaded question.
Yeah, and I was like, honestly, I love all of your characters. I don't have a favorite. She was like, seriously? I was like, no, seriously, I don't have a favorite. I love all of your characters. Like, even Heimdall, like, even though he speaks in a weird voice, I still love his character. Like, I love the idea of the third horn. Like, I love everyone. She was like, oh, okay. Like, she was. I don't know if she didn't expect that I would say that, but I'm being honest, and I'm pretty sure they can listen. So I love all their characters. I'm just really happy with their creativity. It just really makes me happy as a dungeon master. Like, I'm giving them this much freedom, and they took it, and it gives them like motivation to be very serious with their characters when it comes to in game and role play. Even when it comes to silly moments, they try to stay in character, which I was not expecting, like, at all, but it happened. So it's just really great.
Well, I think it's very, good that you've, like Alex has said before, about this kind of creative freedom and the right people you've chosen, and setting the stage to what to expect. And, as someone who's kind of like, I don't know, what you do is something that I don't know if I could do. Like, build X amount of races and classes, or figure out what to allow, or allow complete and total creative freedom. I think that the way that you kind of play this, or like a story-based driven game between the characters, is just, I don't know, something I haven't approached personally.
Because like when I created this world, I always think like what I wanted as a player, and I have watched like D&D sessions, like D&D like campaigns, like on YouTube, where there are like sessions where it's like story driven, and I really enjoy that. Like, I always wanted to play in a game like that where it's not mostly combat and you solve things through puzzles or investigation, or probably like convincing someone to give you the answers rather than combat, or getting like some sort of information from an NPC. Like, I really like that than the constant combat. I really wanted to add something new and different to when it comes to D&D, and obviously it doesn't really seem like the normal type of D&D you would play, since it's really a dark fairy tale world. Even though there are like fairies and animal folks, there's always something going on. Like, it's not always happy and innocent as it seems to be. I kind of like based it like basically around my childhood. When I was a kid, I liked to play pretend and stuff, and even though I have this big imagination, there's always something going on in the background. Like, it's not always like it's not, you know, it's not always like a happy ending, or it's not always like sunshine and rainbows. There's something going on. And obviously there are like different types of medias that do follow this, you know, this type of thing, like Wolf Among Us, or like Mad Alice in Wonderland. I don't know the full title of that,
No, I know what you're talking
but there
about.
are
Yeah.
medias. Yeah, there are different types of media that follows that type of thing, and I wanted to bring that in D&D. And I honestly did not expect I would have a lot of fun creating and role playing these NPCs and these enemies that the players are going to face. I still love the part where I'm running the Dead Winter campaign where you can get the Game Master Guild, and I was so basically one of our players, she has this token. She got a token from the child, and she hasn't hold it. But when she hold out the token, because obviously it said that you know, she hears voices, so I had to make this, you know, this witch, you know, this hag type of voice, and everyone got really creeped out, which I didn't really expect. And there's this other part of the session where serious combat had to start, and I downloaded this program called Voice Mod. I was like, before the combat like started, like I was walking around my room just making this creepy noise, and I'm like, my parents didn't even walk in. I mean, I did had my mom walk in on me making weird voices, and she's like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm just practicing, just doing my own thing. But like I had to scream as this giant toad, and they were so freaked out that I did that. Like all of them were really scared every time I do that. They're like, okay, I want to leave. I want to run away from this. Oh no. And after like the session was over, they're like, Alex, that was terrifying. That was terrifying when you did it. I was like, oh really? And because I recorded all of my like campaign sessions, so when you look back and I listen to it, I'm like, oh god, that sounds terrifying. How did I do that? Oh my god. But I'm just so happy that I get to create this. You know, if I couldn't, you know, if I didn't have that for myself, might as well create it for the players who enjoy it. And I didn't expect to find these players like at a convention. Like I met them all at a convention. I had no idea we were going to be friends, and we became like really good friends. And then they did this the greatest prize, and then we played D&D, and how this chaotic group was created. And honestly, I love them all, and I hope, you know, I hope I do my best to try to give them all a good time and try to surprise them with things I planned, honestly. But yeah, it's just something I always wanted to play, and I'm like, you know what? There you go. I might as well just do it myself.
I think
Isn't
that
that how all great things happen? Just it's not there for me. I need it now. I'm gonna do it myself.
Yes, pretty much. I'll do it myself.
I think that it's so great. Like, how far out story wise do you have planned out for your campaign?
I have like story-wise, I have everything planned in my head. But like when it comes to writing it down, not so far. When it comes to like when it also comes to world building, not much. I literally had a player ask me like, so when did the war started? When did it end? And I didn't know what to say. I had to be honest. I'm like, honestly, man, I have no idea. This is just recently world built. We can figure out together. Maybe like maybe 100 years. And he was like, okay. So he decided that his character, Placebo, the blood mage skeleton, that he's like over 400 years old, but the other players don't know he's a skeleton because we were figuring out what his age is. And I'm just there like, listen, I gotta be honest with you. I don't know yet. I'm still onto that part because I was focusing on creating the campaign session. I didn't think about the world building part. It's just a lot. Like I have everything going on in my head, but like when they asked me the question, I couldn't even bring out the answer. Like I can't just bring it out like that immediately. That's why it's important to write it down. But I don't know. It's just I have all these ideas in my head. It's just so hard to bring into words. That's also why I would start my campaigns like visually with Astral Tabletop. I would use maps, I would draw the characters, I would draw the NPCs because I'm not really good with describing things at all. And I wanted to make this game like neurodiversion friendly for people who have trouble like focusing on a game where there's really nothing in front of them or they can't really imagine by just the descriptions. So with this, you know, that they see something in front of them and they can move around their character tokens really helps, especially when it comes to me. So and they all enjoyed that. Like they all enjoyed the fact that I bring up maps. And there was this other session, like the session where they all get to, where they all sit down in a cave and they all get to know each other as characters. I had like they were trying to cook the stew, and they needed water, and they were trying to figure out how to get water. And since this is like their first session, the druid, the lazy demigod druid, he was somewhere just sitting, and I was like, so the druid, his name is Nad. So I was like, hey, you guys can ask Nad. He's a druid. He has a spell create water and destroy water. And he was like, wait, I do? And they all looked at him and they're like, oh, okay, fine, I'll do it. So it was really funny because they had to convince a lazy demigod to basically create some water and to destroy some water, because inside the it wasn't a bowl, it was a pot. Inside the pot, it was really dirty, so he had to destroy it, and then they had to bring the pot into the fire, like into the fire pit, and then they had to convince him to create water again, and he did, and he was gonna go back to sleep because the others were going to make the stew without him, but he ended up joining, which was kind of really nice. I was not expecting him to like join, even though he said, I'm gonna nap after this. But it was just kind of nice that he somehow kind of cares in a way. Like every of their characters, like there's always like good inside them, and they always like care in one way. It's just they have different ways of showing it, and I really like it. They have like different ways of showing that they care, and in a way.
Okay, so you've created a demigod, I guess, class or race.
It's a race.
Okay, and then a magical girl, which is a class.
Yeah, it's a class. I rename it to Mystical Guardian to make it gender neutral.
Right,
And it's kind of like it comes to 3 subclasses. So one that's kind of like elegant type of way, one that's kind of like a leadership inspired, like, and basically where you kind of convince a group of people, and the other one where it's kind of like stealthy, and there's the fourth one that's kind of hidden. It's like really dark. It's the one that's kind of like the dangerous type, but I haven't revealed that. I mean, I did tell to the player who plays as a magic girl, but she hasn't figured out how to get it. But yeah.
And then you've created a race for puppet people.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about with demigod and stuff, like with the puppet, it's kind of like in my own thing because I haven't found the one exactly I wanted. But the demigod, there's a lot of like demigod races like online, so I was like, oh, I guess it wasn't me. The demigod idea came from like I said, the world was really inspired by my childhood. So the demigod part was inspired by the harvest goddess from Harvest Moon, like the game series, like back then, like either the harvest goddess or the harvest king. And the fact that you as a farmer, you can marry these goddesses and gods, and I thought, and then like you got a kid that might be a demigod. So I always thought like that would be very interesting if you could actually play as a demigod, in the D&D campaign. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna bring that in because that was that idea was inspired, and I brought that in the game. So I was like, why not bring that in? And it was kind of interesting in a way. Especially like these demigods, they have these guardians that follow them. I call them mystical guardians. Also inspired Harvest Moon, were like harvest spirits. I thought they were like so cute. Like they're like these small floating elves that follow you around and guiding you, or they look after the harvest goddess. I thought it was really cute. I thought it would be nice if I add that to the game. It's either a race that the players can play. Like it'd be very interesting if 2 players play as a demigod and a mystical spirit, and it would be very interesting because I feel like it would be fun. But since no one was playing as the mystical spirit, I plan to role play as Nod's mystical spirit soon. It's just she's not ready to, she wasn't ready, and we made the idea that he kind of ditched her, which was not really I mean, it's a thing that his character would do. He would just kind of ditch her in a way, and but we did made a plan that she will come back to him soon, and it's gonna be. Well, it's not going to be a surprise to my players if they're going to listen to this. So, maybe.
Yeah, either tell them that this one's off limit, or this won't be up for another like month. So maybe it'll happen before then. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, either like they listened to it, didn't happen, or it did happen, or listened to it. So either way, because like the way that the player told me how he want this mystical spirit to act like, he would even show me like a video reference of a type of character he wanted her to be, and I was like, okay, sure. And he's like, are you sure? Like this is like too much work for you. Like, are you sure you want to like? Because I had to like voice act the way she speaks, the way she acts, and he felt like it was too much work. And I'm like, listen, I'm a dungeon master. Okay, I will do this. It's okay. I'm having fun with this. Don't worry about it. Like I can't wait to role play as her. I don't know if I should reveal the name because I don't know if they met her yet, but yeah, we'll see.
All right.
If you use like a lot of homebrew rules and like kind of like less than the rule book type of thing. Now I kind of asked this question the wrong way, but you get what I'm saying.
I think that personally, I play off the cuff. There's some things that are kind of set in stone, unless special circumstances say otherwise. But I think that I just kind of, you know, if it's fun and it doesn't like totally mess me over as the DM, I'm usually just fine with it. I let them roll. My inspiration stuff stacks. That's something that's my homebrew. What else is there?
Hmm.
I tend to I tend to not remember all the stat blocks for a monster, so like there's that kind of homebrew where like, oh, he had
Yeah.
DR, damage resistance. Sorry. Oh fudge. Okay, well I guess these were weaker, and they're gonna evolve later, and then that's why they have DR now. So I have to make it kind of like linear to the story as best as I could. But I homebrew a very few things. Recently I homebrewed there's two spells that kind of counter each other, and my players were starting to not like they're kind of fighting about it, but not like they're like, well, here's what the book says and here's what this says, but ultimately it's the DM's choice, and I'm like, oh boy. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna change the ability. I'm change what it actually does, is because of how I feel like the game should be, because I want them to be cohesive and not like their spells kind of messing each other over as best as they can. But I also don't want them to get a huge tactical advantage where I have to like, in order to stop this, I have to start throwing a bunch of mages or a bunch of like special creatures just to stop them. So I gotta see what
Hmm.
happens in the future with the darkness spell. But yeah, that's mainly it.
All right. I see. I guess I don't know what I'm doing with just me like adding a lot of homebrew stuff, especially with the creatures. Because sometimes like some of the creatures is just I wasn't really interested in, so I was like, why don't I just create my own type of thing? But that means I I have to draw it out how I imagine it, and then I have to create a stat block for it. And I'm like, or I could just, I don't know. Something like if I feel like that there should be something new and unique that they haven't like faced yet, I think maybe there would be a time like that. But I don't know. I guess like the thing with the story based campaign is it didn't it wasn't really a mess because it wasn't really like there was not really a there's not really combat involved a lot. But when there is, I have to like keep that in mind to make it sense or to not let it be overpowered. Like one of the players, she's also like she's knowledgeable in like D&D rules and stuff. She's willing to help me out. Like she said, let's do this, and if it's overpowered, we can change it. I'm like, yeah, okay, we will check on that because this is literally a class that I bring magical girl together, like a magical type of homebrew class, but also the mystic class together. Which and we did check to see what like we checked the revamped the ones where they kind of changed the class because the mystic class was just a lot of pages and it was really insane. We found the one that's like a few pages. We picked some stuff that would be very nice and some stuff that okay maybe that wouldn't be that's not really necessary. And then the magical part I had to figure it out like why is she a mystical guardian, how this was come to be, and her backstory was that basically she had amnesia, and she doesn't remember her past life, and she came back to life with this power, and she met her deity that given her this power, And obviously, when you're a magical, you had some sort of goal that you have to complete, and you have this promise that you can't break, type of thing. So we kind of like made it that it was something to do with her amnesia, something to do with her backstory to why she has this class. It was a lot like thought process. I had to think about this class because like, okay, this is a new thing that I'm creating. I don't know how I'm gonna make this because I really want this to be kind of unique in a way, like not like just a subclass, like it's not like a warlock subclass or a sorcerer subclass. Like I wanted to make this kind of unique. Like this is this is its own class type of thing. So I had to think a lot. That means I had to type a lot, and then we have to make sure if it's OP or not too OP. But which is there, but it's not really a lot of combat. It doesn't happen. So yeah, it's just kind of like
Loose
I
and
don't know.
free form.
Yeah, it's just I just have a hard time organizing like homebrew stuff. That's why I asked like not like the if which one do you follow the most, but also like how do you organize this all together?
But here's how I organize them. I either remember or forget them, or my players remind me. I don't have a really good organization scheme. That's
Uh,
so it's play it
Perfect.
by
I'm not the only
ear.
one.
Yeah, yeah. It's a mess. I'm a
Yay.
mess, right, Elder?
You are, and that's okay. We still love you.
Oh shucks.
Yeah, we love you. I'm also a mess. I'm trying my best. Listen, we're a big mess and we're trying our best.
Hey, I like
There's a
that.
quote. There's a quote like that in Night in the Woods. I forgot the like how it is, but
The
it's something like I don't know. I don't know. I can't remember exactly.
oh, Night What's is that like your character's a cat, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
He plays me, and there's this like I don't know. There's some sort of like
Poet that didn't know
a
it.
yeah, like no, like some sort of like a poster in their house saying like we're one big mess family, or we're I don't know, but it wasn't like we're a big mess and we're trying our best. But yeah, we're a big mess and we're trying our best. I'm also trying my best.
Gotcha. Well, Alex, we're gonna have to wrap it up here. Is there anything else you want to say before we sign off?
I don't know what else to say other than if I should promote my account, it's just my art account.
Yeah.
If I
Yes,
need to,
promote.
yeah. So I'm Awashi Art at Twitter. It's or the way you pronounce it, Awashi Art. That's the only thing that I'm kind of like. I'm not that well known there. I'm trying to be well known in type of way, and I plan to like post some D&D concept art like ideas. Like for example, I really want to like draw this Toon Kind kingdom and just bring up all this reference, like let's say from Cuphead or some cartoon and just draw it out, something like that. But yeah, I just have I actually enjoy talking to you guys a lot about this. It's just really nice. I didn't expect Adrian to ask me to join to be a guest when I'm just a newbie. Like I'm just starting. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm trying my best here. And to my players who are listening to this, I love you guys. And I don't know who I don't mention the most, but I'll mention more of you soon. I don't know when, but soon. But anyway, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I follow her on Twitter, and it just my timeline is full of like a lot of art retweets. I love it. A
Yeah,
little brightening
I
to my day.
I retweet art for inspiration. So it's yeah. That's also like the artworks I found on Twitter was also like inspiration for my D&D world as well. Like this character art of Red Riding Hood, but like with a gun. It sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's the main reason I asked you on was because you're starting to brand new D&D, and you decide, or not D&D, but as a DM, right? So I thought it was really cool that you're creating this whole thing. So like that's even in itself a new frontier, and I just wanted to see where you were and how things are, and just you saying like, oh, it was a year and a half process, and I'm like, oh boy,
It is.
yikes.
It is a long time, and I'm not even done. And I'm surprised that I'm not even done. But hey, at least I have the general idea in my head, and sometimes new ideas comes around. So I'm doing well for for some reason that even though I'm not that well prepared, I'm like once the game starts, I get prepared. have a
Mm-hmm.
game ready. They enjoyed it, and I was like, well, can't believe I'm doing well so far. So
That's so
hopefully
great.
I will improve and get better later on.
Yeah. All right, Elder, sign us off.
Well, thank you, Alex. We definitely enjoyed it. I definitely need to see all of these like character breakdowns because I think that's just absolutely exciting. And yeah, we want to talk to everybody within the D&D community. So
Yeah, thank you for
it's
having
neat
me.
that yeah, thank you for coming. And we'll definitely check back in with how your progress is later because I definitely want to know.
I will make sure to talk about it, and I'll make sure to bring up other characters because I feel like the most character that I talked about was Nad, Hungvel, Katz, but not the other three. I think the other three I talk about them like sometimes, but not fully. But hopefully, like
That's fine.
it's gonna be it's gonna be their turn for the next one soon.
Well,
I'm gonna
enjoy
win.
that fighting within your group because you've definitely picked favorites. Just kidding.
No,
No, just
oh,
kidding. No.
no.
Well, dear listener, thank you for joining us for another episode. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram at DandReesPod. You can reach out to us on any of those. You can also reach out to us on our Patreon. If you enjoyed our episodes, please help us out to continue our progress so we get new people and new merchandise. If you feel so inclined, please rate us 5 stars wherever you can rate us on your podcasts. Otherwise, you'll never get another point of inspiration in your life again.
Well, thank you for listening. My name's Adrian.
Oh, I'm Alex.
Go have some fun.